to help me feel like myself again, and I'm proud to recommend them to you.
Call QC Kinetics today and schedule your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Do you want hot takes? Oh, I'm not going to apologize to Ryan Day. Everything we said about Ryan Day up until the playoffs was true.
Not bad. Come on, Kenner. You can do better than that.
To be fair, of all the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow is the least accomplished.
Getting better.
1,000,000%. I 1,000,000% believe that the Dayton Flyers are afraid of the Wright State Raiders. That's why they come up with every excuse in the book not to play them.
There it is. The hottest take of them all. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers, live on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you in live here on a whatever day it is. What even is today? It's a Wednesday. Welcome in, everybody. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. We have a ton to get into here today. Yesterday was a travel day for me, so we did not have the show, but we're in California right now. We are, of course, here for the Wright State's matchup with Cal Berkeley tomorrow night. So Wright State's at California. That'll be a late one tomorrow night, a 10 o'clock tip-off, of course, and we'll have that for you right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. But getting settled in, and we're ready to go. We have a lot to get into here today, of course, because the NFL the trade deadline came and went. And there's a lot of teams who took advantage of that trade deadline. There's other teams who sat there and did absolutely nothing. One of those teams being your Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I guess you could say they did something. They did move on from Logan Wilson, but what does that necessarily mean? So we'll talk about that. Jason Fitz is going to join us later on in the show as well. He had a lot to say. Or he has a lot to say, about the Bengals' activity or lack thereof at the deadline. So, nonetheless, but excited to be with you guys all here today. Again, I'm Justin Kinner with you here, the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. We got Browns talk, college football playoff. The rankings came out last night. I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I thought for sure that it would be a situation where the committee would try to differentiate themselves from the AP poll, from the coaches poll. But it ended up not being the case. I mean, the top five in the college football playoff rankings are the exact top five in the same order as the AP. So I was wrong. It is what it is. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again, and I was wrong there. But we'll get into that with Jason Fitz coming up later on in the show as well. But let's talk about your beloved Cincinnati Bengals, shall we? The Cincinnati Bengals, I'm here to defend the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm here to tell you guys they all need to relax a bit when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, and here's why. Everyone was so mad at what they did or didn't do at the trade deadline yesterday, and all I'm thinking the whole time is, what did you really want them to do? There is not one movable piece on the defense that's going to get them anything in return outside of Trey Hendrickson, and yes, we know that they should have probably moved him. But maybe, just maybe, there might be a different mindset when it comes to Trey Hendrickson. Could he potentially be a Bengal? We keep thinking for sure that this is it, that this is the last time we're going to see Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. I think that the reason that the Bengals decided to keep him is because, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm wondering if they don't have plans to just let him go after next year. If you guys remember, they have the right to franchise tag him again. And there's a very good chance that the Bengals are going to franchise tag Trey Hendrickson. I still think it was the wrong move. There's the other view. There's the other mindset of, if you do let Trey Hendrickson walk at the end of the season, you get that compensatory pick, which would be a third-round pick. So could they have been very aggressive at the deadline, saying, hey, you need to, for me to be willing to move on from Trey Hendrickson, we need a first or a second-round pick. Teams weren't willing to do that. So they said, well, if we're automatically going to get a third-round compensatory pick for losing him anyways, there's just no point in forcing the move right now. And to a certain extent, I understand that mindset as well. One thing to keep in mind, though, that compensatory pick that they would get for losing Trey Hendrickson, that pick would not be until 2027. That pick would not be.
You want hot takes?
I'm not going to apologize to Ryan Day. Everything we said the case. I'm just here to tell you, there's a lot of reasons to beat up on Duke Tobin and Mike Brown and the Cincinnati Bengals. Doing nothing at the deadline yesterday, that's not one of them. There was nothing for them to do. They moved on from Logan Wilson. They sent him to the Cowboys. We talked about that 2 days ago. Is what it is. Like, we figured that was coming. We figured that was coming. We had Solomon Wilcots, former Bengal, on the show with us last week, and he said, look, the worst thing you could do as the Cincinnati Bengals is to hold a player hostage. If you're not going to use them, if you're not going to play them, set them free. The Bengals did that. I don't think they got a great return for Logan Wilson, but I also don't, know what I don't even know what a fair return for Logan Wilson would have been. I was just kind of thrown back at, the fact that they only got a 7th for him. But no, I'm here to say the Bengals did nothing wrong. There was nothing for them to do yesterday. They were not going to make a move that was going to make them better. They were not going to make a move that really made any sense. There is not one single player that they could have moved on the defense outside of Trey Hendrickson that anybody wants. Wilson, which may or may not have been a mistake. They moved on from him. Outside of that, there was no other move that they could have made that would have made sense. Nobody on the offense they could have really moved on from. So what are we mad at? We're mad at the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals have just been absolute butt cheeks, this season, especially defensively. Jay Morrison tweeted this out earlier today, covers the Bengals. Jay Morrison put this out earlier today, again, covers the Bengals for BengalsTalk.com. He said that the Bengals' record for missed tackles in a quarter is 9. They missed 9 tackles in a quarter, and they've done that 3 times since 2007. Now, that's less than 20 years sample size, but 3 times that they have had a quarter where they have had 9 or more missed tackles or 9 missed tackles. Here's the interesting thing about the 3 times that the Bengals have done that. All right. They did it twice in one game. Okay. They did it twice in one game. They tied it in the third quarter this past Sunday against the Bears. They had 9 missed tackles in the third quarter against the Bears, it tied the record for the most tackles or the most missed tackles in a game by the Bengals defense in franchise history. And then guess what? It wasn't even an entire quarter later that the Bengals went ahead and they tied it again. The Cincinnati Bengals had 9 missed tackles in back-to-back quarters, 18 missed tackles total in the first half yesterday, or in the second half last weekend. That's how bad it got. That's how bad. It's not how bad it got. It's just how bad it was. Absolutely horrendous. Jay Morrison also, he was able to kind of pile up some other stats that he put out there. The NFL missed tackle leaders through week 9. Okay. And this is through Sport Radar. All right. Found this fascinating. So through week 9, the top 10 players with the most missed tackles in the NFL, I'm counting of the top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 5. I'm sorry. There are 5 Cincinnati Bengals players in the top 10 with that have the most missed tackles in the league. Jordan Battle and Demetrius Knight Jr. are sitting at 1 and 2. Geno Stone coming in at number 3. And then coming in at number 10 is Barrett Carter. Barrett Carter has 10 missed tackles on the season. That's the 10th most in the NFL. Jordan Battle has 15 missed tackles. That's the most in the NFL. Demetrius Knight has the second most missed tackles with 14, and Geno Stone, 13 missed tackles, the third most. So I said 5. 4 of the top 10 players in the NFL that, as far as the most missed tackles, 4 of them belong to the Cincinnati Bengals. That is absolutely atrocious. And when people say, well, you can't move on from Duke Tobin, you can't move on from Duke Tobin. Sorry, Al Golden. Al Golden, as far as I'm concerned, Al Golden, that's why you fire Al Golden. Because Al Golden was brought in because he was supposed to be this youthful coach coming over from Notre Dame that was supposed to, really just redefine, and reteach the simple techniques and just the simple fundamentals. Well, I'm sorry, but when you look at, defense, I think the most simplest of the concepts is just tackling. And the fact that since Al Golden has come over to the Cincinnati Bengals, they are a significantly worse tackling team than a season ago. What are they even working on? What are they even doing? What is going on in these Bengals practices, and what went on during training camp and the offseason that this team just can't figure it out? A lot of these guys are returning players. Jordan Battle and Geno Stone have been around a minute. But for both of those guys, 9 weeks in, to have a combined 28 missed tackles just between them is insane. And then you add the new players. You add the Demetrius Knight Jr., you add the Barrett Carters. And the fact that those two, in their first year in the league, that they're also in the top 10 in most tackles, that means your experienced players got worse, and that means your new players are not even coming in remotely close to being ready to play defense in the National Football League. That stat alone that Jay Morrison shared, that stat alone to me is a fireable offense for Al Golden. Everybody's saying, look, this defense was bad last year. You can't fire Al Golden. That stat right there tells me you can't. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Jason Fitz is going to join us coming up here later on in the program. But I'm seeing that the players are coming out and defending Al Golden, saying that it's not Al Golden, that his scheme is correct. It's that, we as the players are messing it up. I disagree. It's simple, fundamental stuff like this. Simple tackling. It's just tackling. The 10 players in the NFL with the most tackles, 4 of them are Cincinnati Bengals players. 2 of them are experienced. 2 of them are new. So from the most experienced players to the newest of players, nobody knows what the hell they're doing. That's a problem. That is a huge, big-time problem. So when people are upset that the Bengals didn't do anything at the deadline yesterday, I think that's crazy. I have no critiques of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm still confused as to why Trey Hendrickson is a Bengal, but I think that chapter, we can't get mad at them not moving on from Trey Hendrickson at the deadline until we know what their plan for him is. Because maybe the plan is to move on from Duke Tobin, the general manager, bring somebody else in who might have a different mindset. What I'm curious about is, I'm assuming, right, we all know this, is Mike Brown the one with the mindset of you can't pay someone into their 30s, a pass rusher like Trey Hendrickson? Is that a Mike Brown mindset, or is that a Duke Tobin mindset, or is it kind of a little bit of everybody? Would a new general manager coming in convince Mike Brown that Trey Hendrickson needs to be a part of the not long-term future, but the immediate short-term future, and short-term being the next 2 to 3 years? Because there is not one single dime of substance on the defensive side of the ball you could afford to pay Trey Hendrickson. You've paid Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, yes. But there's not one single dime of value on the defensive side of the ball. To me, if the plan is to move on from Duke Tobin, and you're going to bring in a general manager that will have the mindset of, hey, we're going to keep Trey Hendrickson next year, maybe that's why they decided to stay with him. I also understand the mindset of the front office saying, if we just outright lose Trey Hendrickson at the end of the year, we're going to get a 3rd-round compensatory pick for losing him. So if you're going to get a high-value pick one way or another, you might as well keep him for the back half of the season, assuming that you're still in this playoff race. And that's the other problem. That's the other problem I have, is I don't know if I'd technically include the Bengals anymore in the playoff race. The theme of the show for so long now has been you're either mathematically in it or you're realistically in it. And the Bengals are mathematically in it. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars are holding on to the final playoff spot in the AFC as we sit here right now at 5-3. The Bengals are 3-6. That's a 2-game gap with a lot, with months of the season still to go. But mathematically still in it. Realistically, not so much. But again, the front office is saying, if we can keep Trey Hendrickson for the back half of the season, so if we don't trade him, we have Trey Hendrickson for the back half of the season while we're still technically in this thing, and we're going to get a 3rd-round compensatory pick when he walks at the end of the year, then that's having your cake and eating it too. I can get on board with that. I criticize the Bengals a lot. I think they're a goofy organization. I don't mind that mindset. I'm not necessarily saying it's the right mindset. I'm just saying I don't necessarily bash that, if you will. So Paul, hope you're doing well. Paul Blanton says wrong. The person coming to replace Duke Tobin won't be effective either. Mike won't hire anyone who would take charge and actually turn it all around. And Paul, you and I, we've had our back and forths over the years about this very Bengals team. I can't tell you you're wrong. I'm not even going to say that you're wrong. I actually might lean towards your take on this. I don't have faith that anybody coming in to take over or to run the GM spot for the Bengals is all of a sudden going to have a brand new philosophy. It would just be somebody else coming in to run Mike Brown's philosophy. That seems like that's Paul Blanton's take on here. And you know what? I can't say you're wrong. I guess mentally what I'm trying to say is maybe, just maybe, a new GM comes in and there's a different mindset, and maybe, just maybe, Mike Brown sees just how bad that this has gotten, and maybe, just maybe, he sees the error in his ways. That's wishful thinking, I know. Paul goes on to say that the Bengals won't do anything with their schedule. They may not make it to 500, and that's very realistic as well. So there's that. Chad Kinser says, I've seen a report that Duke Tobin will be gone before their next game. Not sure if it's true, but true Bengals fans could only hope, and hopefully Golden goes with them. Yeah, I saw the reports too. I saw the same reports as well about Duke Tobin potentially being let go as early as the bye week. I guess my thing is this. I don't understand firing a general manager in the middle of a season, especially if, if Duke Tobin had free reign of the trade deadline, if Duke Tobin had complete control of making a Bengals move at the deadline, and I don't think that he necessarily does, then maybe, okay, Duke Tobin, go try to salvage this. Let's go see what you do. Try to save this season. Go make a splash at the deadline and let's make some noise. Duke Tobin didn't do a damn thing. So keeping him didn't make any sense, and firing him post-deadline to me doesn't make any sense. He needs to be fired. Bottom line, because the guy just doesn't produce. There's not one. I can't think of, I don't know if your jobs do performance reviews. I would love to know what his performance review is. And anyone out there, and I've had this debate with you guys for years, anyone out there that likes to sit there and say, well, remember, they're in this situation because of Duke Tobin, good and bad. They have the expectations to be winners because of the players that Duke Tobin got. Here's the deal. I don't give Duke Tobin any credit whatsoever for taking Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, or T. Higgins. You are a team that desperately needed a quarterback, and you had the number 1 overall pick, and you had the Heisman-winning Ohio-born quarterback. That wasn't Duke Tobin, he gambled on Joe Burrow, and it paid off. No, anybody that had the number 1 pick that needed a quarterback, the first team that needed a quarterback that season in the draft, let's say the Bengals had a quarterback, but they had the number 1 overall pick and they were going to go in a different direction. The very next team that needed a quarterback, boom, was going to take Joe Burrow. That wasn't Duke Tobin saw something that nobody else did. Now, you can make the argument that, okay, he stuck to his guns and went wide receiver as opposed to Penei Sewell, but at the same time, one without the other. You went Jamar Chase instead of Penei Sewell, which I will not say that was the wrong decision anymore. At the time, I thought it was kind of crazy. But at the same time, he was going to hit on either of those two no matter what. The Lions hit on Penei Sewell, and it's not like, the Lions needed something. Man, the Lions saw something in Penei Sewell that nobody else did. No, that's not true. I don't give Duke Tobin credit for jack squat. Name one player that you give Duke Tobin credit for drafting. I'm going to say Evan McPherson, and I'm going to say the guy that they just traded at the deadline in Logan Wilson. The one good player on defense that they actually drafted and even gave an extension to in the last couple of years, that's the guy they moved at the deadline. The only 2 players that I'll give him credit for over the last 3 or 4 year run, Evan McPherson, and even he's not the guy. Evan McPherson played such a major role in that Super Bowl run that year. People use it to kind of diminish Burrow, and I've had fun with that. Don't get me wrong. But I'm telling you right now, the Bengals don't even make the AFC Championship game that year if it wasn't for Evan McPherson, who was responsible for 40 points during that playoff run. He was responsible for 40 points. When you think of all the extra points and all the field goals. And he was he was hitting 45, 50, 55-yarders left and right like it was nothing. That was a good pickup. That was a gamble. You don't pick kickers that early in the draft. Not only did they do it, it worked, and he played a major role in their Super Bowl run that year. So I give Duke Tobin credit for that draft pick, and I give him credit for Logan Wilson. That is it. Every other pick has been a disaster. Hey, Eric All, he's had nothing but injury red flags. All he's had is injury issues throughout his entire college run. There is a red flag with him. I wouldn't draft him. Duke Tobin, nope, I'm the smartest man in the room. We're going to draft him. What happens? Injury, not only out for his rookie year, but his entire second year as well. Red flag. Jermaine Burton. All right, Jermaine Burton. He's by all means an elite college wide receiver, but his red flag is he has attitude concerns. And, the likes of Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, who at the time were the 2 top coaches in college football. Kirby Smart and Nick Saban could not get this kid to buy in, but Zach Taylor was. Nope. Duke Tobin had to be the smartest man in the room. So what did Duke Tobin do? Ignored the red flags, drafted him anyways. You look at all the red flags that had popped up. All right. You look at the red flags that had popped up, of course, for obviously Shamar Stewart. Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. He has all the measurables of Myles Garrett, but he has all the production of, well, what you're seeing now. But no, Duke Tobin had to be the smartest man in the room. And he said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and we're going to draft him anyways. And look, sometimes and I'm not going to lie, the Bengals have taught me this. I used to get mad at draft coverage when we would do this whole red flag bit. Okay. Oh man, there's red flags here, red flags there. You could find red flags on everybody, but there are certain players that when their red flags outweigh their production, you have to listen to those red flags. Duke Tobin ignores them every time. He ignores them every single time, and he has got bitten in the behind every time. There were so many picks this past draft, really the last two, where, okay, you look at the individual player profile, you're like Demetrius Knight and others, very solid players, but they weren't supposed to go that high in the draft. And it's one thing if you're not getting a lot of production from a Knight and others, if you're taking them 4th and 5th round, but when you're taking them high in the draft, the way that the Bengals did, it just looks so much more glaring. I am out on Duke Tobin. The guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and I'm over it. I'm not going to give him credit for drafting Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow. Those were the easy picks. Where the GMs, the good GMs in the NFL, they find ways to maximize value in the trade in the trade realm, and of course in the back half of the draft, free agency, and oh yeah, don't get me started on how much he has failed in the free agent department. It is what it is, guys, but he needs to go. Duke Tobin is absolutely horrendous at his job. Absolutely. And Mike Brown plays a huge role in that because I think Mike Brown, I think Duke Tobin operates under the umbrella of Mike Brown and makes a lot of Mike Brown's decisions. But let's step away for a few minutes. Again, I'm Justin Kinner with you here. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Live here. So I'm on the road. So we were off yesterday. It was a travel day for me. Wright State's going to be, they're going to be at California tomorrow. We're here in Berkeley now. And Wright State at Cali tomorrow night. It's a 10 o'clock tip off, but we got here a few days early. So we're not, they're getting prepared for that. So I'm doing the show remote for today, tomorrow, and Friday. So we'll still do the show. I'll just be doing the show from the hotel here at Berkeley, nonetheless, in San Francisco, nonetheless. So there is that. But either way, we can take calls. So my guy Tommy, he's back in the studio. Tommy Collins, shout out to Tommy. Appreciate him coming in today to hold down the fort. So because he's back in the studio, we get to take your phone calls. So 937-518-1410. If you give the studio a call, Tommy's going to be able to get you all set up to where I'll be able to take your phone calls and we'll get you all ready to go for everything in here. So 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the convo. We will be right back.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Do you know how much you're really paying for life insurance through work? I can almost guarantee you're overpaying for limited coverage. I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent for over 20 years. My clients are shocked to learn how expensive life insurance at work really is because of a rate that's driven up by unhealthy people. Why pay more when you don't have to? For over 35 years, Select Quote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. I found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure, a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Don't procrastinate. Workplace open enrollment will be here soon. Let Select Quote save you money and get you the coverage you need to protect your family.
For your free quote in just minutes, call 1-800-964-6464. 1-800-964-6464. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-964-6464. 1-800-964-6464. Details of example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Folks, the Colonel here with Homestead Feed and Supply. You've asked for it, and the homesteaders, well, they went out and got it. Homestead Feed and Supply is now a full-blown Purina dealer. You heard that right. Homestead carries Purina feed products, including Fitter, Honor Show feeds, Depth Charge. Heck, they've even got the golden ticket. Stop in to Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle, or visit the Homestead Feed and Supply Facebook page. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Remember when they used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? At Bank of America, we ask every day, what would you like the power to do? When you work here, you help build businesses, inspire communities, and forge legacies. And now we've raised our U.S. minimum wage to $25 an hour. So the opportunity to do more also comes with competitive pay. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/25. Bank of America, proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, football fans, it's November in Ohio, and you know what that means. It's time to face that state up north in a battle to claim forgotten funds. Join us in the statewide challenge and visit com.ohio.gov/radio to help support Ohio's takedown of Michigan. The state with the most searches wins. Who knows? Unclaimed funds could help you buy a seat to the big game next year. Claim your money today at com.ohio.gov/radio.
Did you know that Carroll Works specializes in servicing mixed fleet vehicles? We keep your business moving by tailoring our service programs to meet your company's specific needs. Let us keep your fleet on the road with Carroll Works Tire. Did you know that although our name may be Carroll Works Tire, we're more than tires? We're one of the leading service centers in the area, from personal vehicles to fleet maintenance. We'll keep you on the road. Come see us at Carroll Works Tire.
The ONN Daily Podcast. Get a recap of all the day's news from across the state.
ONN affiliate WBNS TV in Columbus has more.
Haley Kirby, reporting in downtown Toledo.
From the State House, Kevin Landers.
ONN Canton.
ONN affiliate WKYC TV in Cleveland explains.
In Marietta, Brett Wharf, ONN News.
Emma Henderson in Genoa.
The ONN Daily Podcast. Listen at ONNradio.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts from the Ohio News Network.
Hungry for a great time, maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our Philly cheesesteaks, our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House.
Get a great deal on select Kubota construction equipment featuring durable Kubota engines. More comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. Right now. Write it off a lot and write it off your taxes for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months or save up to $4,500. Now through December 31st. Subject to credit approval. Consult your tax advisor. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see our full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check us out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
The holidays are here, full of joy, family, friends, and yes, a little hustle and bustle. That's why you need Aleve. Between cooking, shopping, and all those extra errands, aches and pains can sneak in. Aleve is here to help with long-lasting body pain relief. Don't let body pain slow you down. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, you can keep up with the season's magic and all that awaits. Pick up Aleve and get back to what really matters, making memories. Use as directed.
Thank you for calling the Browns Emotional Support Line. Press 1 if you're blaming the refs. Press 2 if you're blaming the quarterback. Press 3 if you're blaming the head coach. Don't worry, we've got you.
1410 Wing AM, the only station where it's safe to scream into your radio.
All right, and we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Tommy Collins back in the WING studio. He's taking your calls and he's getting you put on hold, and I'll get to your calls coming up here in just a second. I just wanted to reset here. Again, I'm doing the show remotely. I'm in California right now with Wright State. They're going to take on California tomorrow night. That's going to be a 10 o'clock tip-off right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Okay, so the Bengals, the trade deadline is come and gone. We're going to talk more about the Bengals here in a moment with Jason Fitz coming up in hour 2 from Yahoo Sports. But everyone's mad that the Bengals didn't make a move yesterday at the trade deadline, and I wasn't. I just said that if you're a team that desperately needs a move to kind of push your team over a little bit, I would be upset. The Bengals, they're not a move away from anything. It's not like, man, they needed help at corner. They needed help at linebacker. They need help at every possible spot on that defense that you can imagine. So there wasn't a move that they were going to make to improve their team. And if you're really mad they didn't move on from Trey Hendrickson, I guess the question I have is why? Like, unless they could have truly got a first-round pick, and I don't know if any team was going to give up a first-round pick for him. I don't think any team was going to give up a first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals viewed this as, we're still mathematically in the playoff hunt. Getting Trey Hendrickson back, I mean, you kind of want him out there. I've said before, you have the worst defense in the NFL with them. You can have it without him, but okay, whatever. That's not the case. So they want to have that. You're going to get a third-round compensatory pick for Trey Hendrickson when it's all said and done. When he walks at the end of this year, if that's the case, excuse me, if he walks at the end of this year, which could be the case, you're going to get a third-round compensatory pick. So you're automatically going to get a high draft pick for him. So that they're thinking, well, we could be aggressive. We could force the hand of a team to get a first-round pick, and if we don't get it, oh well, we're at least going to get a third. Okay, cool, whatever. Smartest man in the room, Duke Tobin, as we were talking about. To me, the real thing is the one move that the Bengals should have made the second that they hit the bye week was firing Duke Tobin. I'm not a Duke Tobin guy. I don't think any Bengals fan are at the moment. I don't know what value he brings. There's not one there's some things like, if we move on, like Zach Taylor, you could say this. We can move on from Zach Taylor. We can get other offensive-minded guys out there. Zach Taylor's not, irreplaceable, but at the same time, because he brings value to this team, you guys may not agree, but I think he does. Whatever. You don't want to make that his mindset, what he brings to the table, as far as his mindset offensively, that's working. There's no need to make Zach Taylor a priority at this moment. Duke Tobin is an actual hindrance to this team. He is a problem. If you moved on from Duke Tobin, what would you be missing? Not a dang thing. You wouldn't be missing anything. That's the thing. At the end of the day, it's ridiculous that anybody out there would defend Duke Tobin, and I haven't seen anybody. The fact that he is still here right now is beyond words. I can't explain it. It doesn't make any sense. I've said before, if you go back even to the 2020 draft and 2021 draft, I don't give him a single ounce of credit for the Joe Burrow pick. They were in desperate need of a quarterback. You won 2 games. You desperately need a quarterback, and you had a generational quarterback fall into your lap. There's no way he would have screwed it up. You know what I mean? I don't give him credit for that. I don't give him credit for taking a wide receiver, and that's the other thing that they needed. You're going to get Joe Burrow. Tyler Boyd was still on the team. He was the highest paid wide receiver that was on the team. A.J. Green was old. And that was going nowhere. So the Bengals were going to move on from A.J. Green. Tyler Boyd was the oldest wide receiver that you had. You needed wide receiver help, and you had T. Higgins sitting there with the first pick in the second round. That was easy. I don't give Duke Tobin credit for oh man, I saw something in T. Higgins that nobody else did. That is not the case. Then a year later, Jamar Chase. It was controversial, Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell, but it was you desperately needed another number one wide receiver. You needed number one wide receiver, and you desperately needed offensive line help, and you went with there was 2 easy picks right there. I give GMs credit when they get into that the 17th pick. Had he Shamar Stewart, had he been Myles Garrett, like they were trying to convince you that he would be, okay, Duke Tobin, you win that one. That's good, right? You know what I mean? But he does. That's another massive failure. He has failed so many times in these drafts. He ignores red flags. Eric All had an injury. His red flag was how many times he got injured in college. And what happens? Not only does he get injured to miss one full rookie season, he's missed the entire second season. You look at Jermaine Burton, all the red flags about his attitude issues, and it's not really on the field that's the concern, it's off the field. And guess what? He has been absolute butt cheeks since he got here because he's not strong mentally between the ears. He's been horrendous. He ignored the red flags there. Think about Amarius Mims. Amarius Mims has been okay,
But Amarius Mims is exactly what he was. We kept saying he didn't have a lot of starts. He missed a lot of time. You can't take a chance on Amarius Mims when you have to get guys that you're going to be an absolute success. Now, Amarius Mims might get another contract, might not, who knows? But he hasn't been great. Like, none of these guys have been outstanding at all. It has been bad draft after bad draft after bad draft. And it gets old. They used Jermaine Burton. They took him in the 3rd round. They took Eric All in the 4th round. None of these guys work. None of these guys have worked out. And it's just bad draft after bad draft. And people talked about the Patriot way back when Tom Brady was there, talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and what they're able to do. The bottom line is the Kansas City Chiefs were able to do what they were able to do because of the fact that they drafted and developed so well. I mean, DJ Turner hasn't been horrendous, but again, that's a 2nd-round pick. It's not that hasn't been horrendous. He has to be great. If the Bengals want to be anything, you have to hit on your 1st-round picks. You have to nail your 2nd-round picks. But Charlie Jones, Chase Brown, give me a break. I know some of you guys like him. I'm not a Chase Brown guy, and I definitely lost respect for the guy when he had the nerve to call out the defense after this guy has underperformed all season. Don't get me started on that. Andre Yoshivas, okay, whatever. Do you think any team is lining up to take his services when his time in Cincinnati's done? No. So I'm over it. But you've heard me talk. Let's go to the phones. 937-518-1410. 937-518-1410. Let's go to, I think it's Dan. Is it Dan? Dan's, you're on live, sir. Dan, you there? All right, we'll try it again coming up here in a bit. Tommy, let me know if he dropped. He might have dropped. We'll go to the next calls coming up here in a moment. But nonetheless, 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. But, yeah, so Dan, okay, thank you. Nonetheless, we'll get back to more of your calls coming up in a moment. But Chad Kinzer says, we passed on Jack Sawyer for Shamar Stewart. He should have been fired right then. Chad also says, you only make a move if you have a chance. The only thing that truly irritates me is the fact that they only got a 7th rounder for Logan Wilson. I honestly believe they could have gotten at the very least a 5th. He was solid when healthy. Nonetheless. Oh, by the way, I'm still not convinced that Logan Wilson is bad. That's going to be crazy. If he goes to Dallas, if you look, the Dallas Cowboys just got Quentin Williams and Logan Wilson. Right? Then they're very similar to Cincinnati. They have a lot of holes defensively that they have to try to fix. But, man, if you get a solid linebacker and a great pass rusher, and those two go to Dallas, and that defense takes major steps, and Dallas ultimately makes the playoffs because now that defense is up, that's a problem. Because Dallas, a dominant pass rusher now with a solid linebacker, that's the Cincinnati Bengals. And watch the improvement that Dallas is going to make. Dallas is going to improve. They're going to be solid in the 2nd half, and that defense isn't going to be elite by any means. But you got Quentin Williams, and you added Logan Wilson. I think the Bengals made a mistake moving on from Logan Wilson. I have no clue what was the mindset there, and don't tell me about the scheme. You mean the same scheme that has led the Cincinnati Bengals to having the worst defense in the NFL? Nope. Chad Kinzer goes on to say, I agree, but good players don't need development. Yeah, and that's the thing, too. Development, college has turned into the ultimate feeder system. And I'm not saying guys don't come to the NFL and get better. That's not true at all. But you shouldn't have to come to the NFL to get taught how to be good. And that's what's happening here is, Shamar Stewart, he checks off all the measurables. Let's bring him here. We'll teach him how to be good. You ain't teaching him jack squat. It's just bad pick after bad pick. Paul Blanton says the Bengals don't develop players. They don't. Joe Burrow, you didn't have to develop Joe Burrow. We knew Joe Burrow. I remember Joe Burrow's debut. It just looked different coming out of his hand. I'm like, yeah, damn it. They got, as a Browns fan, as a fan of a rival team, I'll never forget Joe Burrow's first game in Cincinnati because it ticked me off because I was like, I knew right away, damn it, my rival has their quarterback, and I'm never going to hear the end of it for almost 10 years now. And that's been the case ever since. T. Higgins, we knew. T. Higgins wasn't an average wide receiver that came to Cincinnati and turned great. He was already great. Jamar Chase, give me a break. He wasn't a bad wide receiver. He wasn't a potentially good wide receiver that came to Cincinnati and flourished. He was already elite, and there's a reason that the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl the first year that they got him because the offense just absolutely exploded. Man, oh man. All right, I'm Justin Kinner, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll step away for a few moments. We're going to talk about, of course, the Cleveland Browns and their lack of aggressiveness at this trade deadline.
nonetheless, they chose not to do absolutely anything at this draft, and they're very similar to Cincinnati. There's not a single pick that they could have made that would have technically put them in position to make a run in the second half. There's one move that Cleveland can do. Actually, Tommy, I just saw the time with where we're at. We're just going to go ahead and keep it here for a little bit. Let's just move over to the Browns talk because we're going to get to Jason Fitz coming up here in hour number 2. I also have some thoughts on the college football playoff rankings that came out. Nonetheless, so we're going to get to that coming up in hour 2 because that's coming up around the corner. This hour flew by, and I knew there was going to be plenty to talk about today, and everyone was going to be all fired up after yesterday because I saw it on social media. But I think the general consensus was move on. Duke Tobin needs to be gone. He has no business being in Cincinnati. He brings absolutely nothing to the table. But I want to talk about Cleveland real quick because Browns fans were also upset. Browns fans were also mad about the fact that they didn't do a dang thing at the deadline. And I'm here to tell you the same thing. I had the same take about Cleveland that I did about the Cincinnati Bengals. Make a move for what? Did you see the teams that made moves at the deadline? Did you see the teams that were making big splash moves? There were teams that were either trying to just tear it all the way down to the studs, which I don't think Cleveland should do. Cleveland has a dominant side of the ball. Why would Cleveland just give that up? Well, the Jets had a good defense, and they gave up. The Jets had an average defense. The Jets' defense was not elite by any means. You people bring up the fact that, that they could have got, when you look at, Ward, Denzel Ward, you had, Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett. They could have got the same return, if not more, that the Jets did for Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner. I disagree completely. Ward's value, we know how great he is on the field, but Ward's value is been shot because the guy can't stay healthy. The guy is injured all the time. He's one or two, and this isn't taking shots at the guy, but he's one or two concussions away from not just being out for the season, but maybe being done. Or maybe just being done playing football. I look at this whole thing with Cleveland. I'm glad that they didn't do anything at the deadline yesterday. There was nothing for them to do. Look at the teams that made moves yesterday or throughout this deadline. It was the Philadelphia Eagles, who are a Super Bowl contender. Okay, it was the Indianapolis Colts, who I think are a Super Bowl contender. It's Super Bowl contenders and teams who are absolutely horrendous. And you can make fun of Cleveland all you want, but I don't think they're absolutely horrendous. The one side of the ball that they are absolutely horrendous on is offense. And what wide receiver were they going to go get at the deadline? They should have went and got A.J. Brown. How do we know that A.J. Brown was available? How do we know that he was available? How do we know that how do we know that Jalen Waddle was available? People were making calls to the Dolphins, but it doesn't mean that they were, for sure just looking to actively get rid of them. Some of these teams are like, let's head into the offseason with a fresh set of, a fresh mindset, and let's reevaluate then. But I think rushing into anything at the deadline is bad. The Jets, they didn't rush into that. They knew what they wanted. They realized they were a one-win team. Should not have been a one-win team. They still should be winless at this point. And they just said, you know what? We got to start over. Because I think they got a good coach. I do like the coach, but I think they had a lot of flaws. I had no problem with what the Jets did. The Browns have an elite side of the football, and they hit on their draft last year. They're one more good draft away from being back and being competitive and winning football games. So I have no problem with Cleveland not doing anything at the deadline yesterday, because what exactly did you want them to do? Move on from Myles Garrett? Why are you moving on from Myles Garrett? You realize, let's take Shedeur Sanders' name out of it. Let's say that they get the Mendoza kid from Indiana. Let's say that they get their quarterback, which is a funny joke in itself. But let's say Cleveland gets that quarterback. You have a quarterback now and an elite defense. Boom, they're set. Doesn't mean you're winning a Super Bowl, but you're going to be competing for the playoffs. And the games that you're losing closely this year, you're going to win those games. Bottom line is, Cleveland, they have one half of the most important piece to the puzzle already set. They're just missing the most important piece, which is the quarterback. The Cincinnati Bengals, the reason that they feel like they have a shot every year is because they have the quarterback right, and you know how bad your defense is. If Cleveland just gets an average quarterback with that defense, everything is going to be just fine. There's no need to blow up that defense. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Marvin Gordon on Facebook, on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, says, I can't defend the defense. Fire someone for the bad defense to send a message. You're talking about the Bengals, I'm assuming, going back to that, obviously. Yeah, you can't defend anything. That defense can't defend anything either. Chad Kinser says 2 first-rounders for Myles Garrett, 6th or 7th for Ward, Cleveland was correct in not parting ways with anyone on that defense. I agree. I think we as Ohio NFL fans, we just want to be mad because we've been just absolutely abused by our teams for decades and decades, and we're tired of it. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt by any means. I'm just saying logically, what move could the Browns have made? Okay, they go out and get A.J. Brown. Then what? You've no one to throw it to him. Getting A.J. Brown at the deadline does what for Cleveland? Not a damn thing. Well, Dylan Gabriel will look better. Dylan Gabriel is not a good quarterback. I'm so irritated that they haven't announced the change to Shedeur. I mean, it's Wednesday. Shedeur's not starting this Sunday. Shedeur Sanders should be starting this Sunday. Period. Hour 2 of the Justin Kinner Show coming up next right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
This is Dr. Justin with Dayton Weight Loss Secret. Are you frustrated with those trendy weight loss shots? Whether you hit a plateau, can't handle the side effects, or watch the pounds creep back up after stopping, there's a better way. Our program has helped over 70,000 people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in just 8 weeks without expensive injections or uncomfortable side effects. Our doctor-developed program costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast. Ready for real lasting results? Our caring team at Dayton Weight Loss Secret is ready to help you achieve your weight loss goals. Visit DaytonWeightLossSecret.com now to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner. Back on July 1st, I weighed in at 210 pounds. Less than 2 months later, I'm down to 185. Most patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in the first month or two, just like I did. No injections, no prepackaged meals, no endless workouts. For your free consultation, give Dayton Weight Loss Secret a call today, 937-999-1480.
Buckeyes football, 1410 WINT, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast clear, 36 tonight. Sunshine, 58 tomorrow. On Friday, some rain and 61. Rick Schrempf, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Do you know how much you're really paying for life insurance through work? I can almost guarantee you're overpaying for limited coverage. I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent for over 20 years. My clients are shocked to learn how expensive life insurance at work really is because of a rate that's driven up by unhealthy people. Why pay more when you don't have to? For over 35 years, SelectQuote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. I found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure, a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Don't procrastinate. Workplace open enrollment will be here soon. Let SelectQuote save you money and get you the coverage you need to protect your family.
For your free quote in just minutes, call 1-800-964-6464. 1-800-964-6464. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-964-6464. 1-800-964-6464. Details of example rate at SelectQuote.com.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just one cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here. Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025. Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing at $20 a monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new treatments available here. Not talking steroids or surgery, these are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Hi, this is Keith Byers. QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biologic therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints with lasting results. If you got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments. With astonishing patient satisfaction report, they can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, no surgery. Don't go through another year with that awful joint pain, and don't let them put you under the knife. You need to learn more about how biologic therapies are changing the way we think about dealing with joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 937-936-0325. That number again is 937-936-0325.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our Philly cheesesteaks, our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton. From a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance. Because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 5 and 20%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. Visit amfam.com to learn more. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment. Plus the $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enid. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
Doctors recommend regular exercise to manage stress. We recommend that you just watch the Bengals defense. Same result. Elevated heart rate, yelling, "I can't do this," and the occasional tears. The Justin Kinner Show, your official cardiac clinic for the Bengals.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. I'm Justin Kinner with you here, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, hour number 2. Hour number 2, we're off and rolling. All right, good stuff. We have a lot to get into here in hour 2. We're going to get into the college football playoff rankings released from last night. I'm going to open up this hour with some baseball talk real quick. Some of the numbers that came out for the World Series are staggering. I mean, it's just unbelievable. That 7-game series between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. The Dodgers end up winning their second straight World Series. Great stuff. But Jason Fitz from Yahoo Sports, we're going to get back into the Bengals conversation coming up here around the corner as well. So that's all coming up here again in hour number 2. A loaded hour number 2 for you here nonetheless. Okay, so, as we sit here right now, baseball, something we're going to get into. I don't even know if we're going to have time today. I do know this. Nick Kroll did a good job reminding us that while everyone is down on Duke Tobin, while everyone's upset with Duke Tobin right now, Nick Kroll reminding me why we need to be upset with him a little bit too. Difference between the two, though. I'll take Nick Kroll over Duke Tobin any day of the week, but Nick Kroll did let Reds fans know some bad news. We're expecting this major offseason. We're expecting this, year where they're going to go get a Kyle Schwarber, and some of that stuff's my fault for buying into that, for me actually thinking that that's going to be the case. So, it is what it is. That's on me. My apologies, but
either way, it's just
kind of one of those things where, man, it really bummed me out hearing what Nick Kroll had to say, and we'll get into that more in a moment. But so I saw this. How about the World Series numbers? The World Series numbers are just absolutely insane. When you think about the success of baseball right now, baseball was to be broken for the longest time, right? Like, it was just a sport that we deemed that, it was broken, and that Rob Manfred was the worst commissioner in all of sports. And I've been a big Rob Manfred guy. I've actually come to his defense, on many occasions. Roger Goodell is viewed as the best commissioner in professional sports, and he very well might be. But I think that honestly, the guy that is rivaling him right now has to be Rob Manfred, and everyone hates Rob Manfred. I don't hate Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred has made baseball fun again. He's made baseball relevant again. And a lot of it, has to do with what baseball was lacking for the longest time, which was true generational star players. I think it helps right now that baseball has so many, elite talents out there. I think the fact that you have Shohei Ohtani, who, I think about the two biggest athletes in sports right now. It's Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, and it's Shohei Ohtani in baseball. Like, there's not a player in the NFL that is doing something right now that we've never seen before. There is not a player in the NBA right now that is doing something that we've never seen before. I think Victor Wembanyama might be knocking on the door of that, to be fair. But there's nothing happening in the NBA right now that makes you say, I have to watch the association. It's lacking that. Baseball lacked that for the longest time. There was no reason to watch. What was the reason to watch baseball? There really wasn't one outside of your local teams. It was a very regional sport. You watched your teams. You maybe followed a little bit of your divisional rivals, and that's about it. But there wasn't stars across. I mean, like Bryce Harper was the face of baseball for a bit, and I don't look at Bryce Harper as a face of baseball guy, but he was the face of baseball for a while. I've never viewed Bryce Harper as that, but he was. Mike Trout, kind of hard to view him. I mean, he's had one playoff appearance in his entire Major League Baseball career. it's kind of hard to put Mike Trout as the face of baseball, even though statistically he's rivaling some of the, if you look at Mike Trout statistically, you could make arguments for him being one of the best of all time statistically. Just that's how dominant he's been throughout his MLB career. But, Trout's one of those where, he's never played on the biggest of stages. He's had one playoff appearance in his entire career. So it's tough to really, put him in that conversation. But baseball, while they were having Mike Trout doing things that no one else was doing before, he was on a bad team. He's been in the league 15 years. Mike Trout has played 15 seasons of Major League Baseball. Okay? 2011 to now. All with the Angels. All with the Angels. He's had one playoff appearance. He won 3 MVP awards. It was the rookie year, in 2012. All right, he's hitting just under 294 career batting average-wise, and we all know the advanced analytic, numbers jump off through the page. But as we sit here right now, baseball is just absolutely thriving, and it's because they have a once-in-a-generation talent. It might not be once in a generation. This might be a once-in-a-lifetime type of talent. When we talk about the things he's doing. Guys, Game 7 of the World Series, it was the most-watched MLB game in 34 years. When you talk about the numbers in the States and the numbers outside the country globally, it was the most watched World Series game in over 34 years. Major League Baseball put this out on X a little bit ago. That Game 7 of the World Series averaged 51 million viewers combined across the United States, Canada, and Japan, making the thrilling 11-inning contest the most watched MLB game in 34 years. The last game that had this many views was all the way back in 1991. It was a Game 7 of the 1991 World Series. Yeah, I'd say baseball's doing just fine, and it's because of their star player, of course, in Shohei Ohtani. But I when you look at the two sports that have grown the most over the last couple of years, the WNBA is as popular as it's ever been because it has a player that is doing things that we've never seen in that league before. And it's not just that she's doing something that we've never seen before. There are players that are better than Kayla. It's just that she is the only reason that people want to watch. She just has that hit factor. Baseball had a lot of guys that were doing great things. Like, I actually think there's some comparisons here. Baseball had the Mike Trout of the world. Statistically, no one touches him. Even Shohei Ohtani on his best offensive year doesn't even touch what Mike Trout was doing at the peak of his, career. But Mike Trout, just no one cared about. Mike Trout wasn't a draw. Mike Trout, you don't lead off Sports Center. You don't lead off sports talk radio segments about. He wasn't controversial. He doesn't have charisma. There was just nothing about him that attracted you to him. Nothing. The same thing in the WNBA. Like, there's a lot of women who are very, very good, statistically way better than Caitlin Clark. But there was nothing about him that made you stop what you're doing to go watch. Caitlin Clark does that. Caitlin Clark, Shohei Ohtani are the two most dynamic athletes in all of sports right now. They make you stop what you're doing to go watch what they're doing, and the numbers prove it. You look at the ratings for women's basketball when she's out there, and you look at the ratings for baseball right now. Would the numbers for the World Series be that big if Dodgers weren't in the World Series? Well, let me reword that. Would the numbers for that be as big as what they were if Shohei wasn't in the World Series? Probably not. Probably not. But, man, when you look at Rob Manfred and the changes he's made to the sport, it's been a perfect storm. It's been a perfect storm. The games are quicker. Attendance is through the roof. Ratings are through the roof. Baseball is a global phenomenon right now, and baseball's thriving. It's thriving. 50 million viewers for Game 7 of the World Series. Good for baseball. So I also saw this a little bit ago. This came across. Speaking of Mike Trout, got me thinking. I get tired of reading all these articles about Mike Trout because I blame Mike Trout for a lot of the issues that he has, and I'll explain. Okay, here's the problem. So Mike Trout, The Athletic put out a piece on him earlier today. And there's a quote in this from Dina Bible. He's a former Angels third base coach. He says that Mike Trout, he was the best player out there, and he was so young, and he had all the tools, the passion for the game. He was Mike Trout, and it kind of disappeared, which is sad. He was Mike Trout. He was the face of baseball, and it just disappeared. It talks about how sad that was. You read the article, and it goes on to just talk, so much about, the aura of him and how, it stinks for baseball that they never got to really truly embrace Mike Trout's greatness. They go on to say that Mike Trout's a generational MLB talent, a player who should have been plastered on Times Square billboards and cereal boxes, but he's faded from the sports consciousness. And they say, how? Questioning how. As I stated earlier, Mike Trout debuted in Major League Baseball in 2011. 2025, he's played in the postseason one time. You know, he's in the Los Angeles market now. I know he was in Anaheim at first, but, you know, he's in Los Angeles now. There's been no uptick as far as his brand or interest is concerned, because at the same time, he also, knowing that he's played for a horrendous organization, decided to become, at the time, the highest paid player in the history of Major League Baseball, because that was more worth it to him than going somewhere to be a valuable asset. He should have learned from Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani left the Angels and is the face of baseball. Who should have been the face of baseball, and Mike Trout, for the greatness that he's been putting on display for over a decade now, he's an afterthought because he stayed with the bad organization because he wanted to become the highest paid player in baseball history. Shohei Ohtani, though, goes on to get his money, have his cake and eat it too, but the bottom line is he had to leave the Angels organization, and he saw what happened to Mike Trout, and he wanted nothing to do with that. Mike Trout cared more about money than anything else, and that's my problem with athletes in baseball. Is a lot of times, we always paint this picture in the NBA that the NBA players, that all they care about is money. I disagree with that. I mean, they want their money, yes, but look what happens when athletes show a competitive bone in their body. What we do to diminish Kevin Durant and LeBron James, to me, they show more of a competitive drive by wanting to go play on a contender than anything we ever see in Major League Baseball. I don't get it. And I've been guilty of it too. Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City to go to the Golden State Warriors, who beat them in the playoffs and were already an NBA championship team. And then we try to diminish Kevin Durant because, he was just riding the coattails of the Golden State Warriors. No, he played for an organization that went to the finals, and they took more players away from him than added. He'd given them 9 years. People forget that Kevin Durant gave the Thunder 9 seasons. It's not as if he, tried to get out of there the second that his rookie contract. He was there for 9 years. Kevin Durant's been in the league a minute. He was with that organization for 9 seasons. LeBron was with the Cleveland Cavaliers for 7 seasons before he left. I mean, he was there for both players with their teams for almost a decade before ultimately bouncing to pursue championships. Because their whole goal, when Kevin Durant realized he was as great as he was, when LeBron realized he was as great as he was, it was never about, I just want to make the most money in the league and winning be damned. Winning comes second. No, winning came first for them, which is why Kevin Durant left the Thunder to go to left the Thunder to go to Golden State, which is why LeBron left Cleveland to go to the Miami Heat, because we kept telling LeBron, to be the GOAT, you have to get 6 rings. Well, he wasn't going to get 6 rings in Cleveland, and we bashed him for leaving Cleveland. No matter what, we were going to bash him. That's how this worked. It's not right, but that's just the reality of it. But the NBA is weird. LeBron showed competitive drive. You guys say that showed weakness. Not me. To me, this is a guy that wanted to win championships. And when he realized he couldn't do it in Cleveland, he forced his way to a situation that he can go win championships. To me, that is the peak example of a competitive drive. You know what's not a competitive drive is, I'm not going to win a championship here, but at least I'll have the most money of anybody else in the league. So there you go. I don't like that at all. I don't respect that mindset at all. And we see it in baseball constantly. And I'm going to upset you. We saw it in Cincinnati with Joey Votto. Joey Votto cared more about that $25 million contract than he did trying to force his way to a contender. And what I mean by that is Cincinnati, you know how many rebuilds they started during Joey Votto's tenure with the Reds? 3. They hit the reset button 3 different times during his time in Cincinnati, and not once did he try to, who had a no-trade clause, by the way, never tried to force his way out. He was content with making $25 million a year, not, you know what I mean? Like, he was just content. He was content with this $25 million a year. He never put the pressure on the Reds. He never went to the Reds for an office and said, trade me, or he never went to them and said, put a competitor around me or get me out of here. He was content. You had the owner of the Cincinnati Reds, or the son of the owner of the Reds, come out and mock the fans, and Joey Votto cared more about putting on a kilt and doing TikTok dances than saying, okay, enough is enough. Why is it that we as fans said enough is enough, but the face of the franchise at the time cared more about doing Harry Potter skits on TikTok than anything else? I don't like that. I don't care for the Joey Vottos of the world. I don't care for the Mike Trouts of the world. Mike Trout has this article from The Athletic trying to make Mike Trout a victim is ridiculous. Mike Trout's not a victim. Mike Trout chose to become the highest paid player in baseball and stay on a roster that's full of nothing but mediocrity. One playoff appearance in 15 years. He's not a victim. He chose to stay there. You can't choose to stay at a crappy job. And I tell my friends this all the time. I have so many friends that all they do when I'm around them, they're exhausted. They just complain about their job over and over and over. And I'm like, then leave. If your job is so bad, then leave. And they don't leave. They're content. They're content. They're content with the money that they make, and they're fine with just being miserable. And I that's frustrating to me. That's frustrating to me. And we all know those people. And it's like, okay, Mike Trout, and I always say, you don't get to be the victim then. You don't get to, you don't get to be the victim in that story. And that's the same thing with Mike Trout and Joey Votto. You don't get to be victims here. You chose to stay. You chose to stay. You chose to be in that situation. Well, I have a hard time sympathizing with you. Baseball's not to blame for the lack of profitability of Mike Trout. Mike Trout is. Because Mike Trout could have got his money anywhere. People say, oh, Joey Votto, well, he stayed because of the money. He stayed because of the money, yes, but he also stayed because there was no pressure on him to win here. Shohei Ohtani said, you know what, not only do I want to go somewhere else and be the highest paid player in baseball, I want to go and I want to be a pitcher and I want to be a hitter and I want to be the best at both. And look at what he's doing. But I get tired of fans doing that in the NBA. When players leave their team, they get drafted to a bad organization. They don't win with that organization, not because they're not good, but because the organization is not good. And they want to get out because they want to go win. They want to go win. To me, I respect athletes who want to win. I don't respect athletes like Mike Trout, like Joey Votto, who are content with the money that they're making, and yet they stay in a bad situation and they never raise hell. And it's like, what are you doing? You are the face of a franchise. You have the responsibility to hold your organization's feet to the fire, and they never do it. Never do it. So no, I read that article, Mike Trout, you're not a victim. You're not. You chose to stay in that situation. I mean, 15 years, what makes you think that year 16 is going to be any different? Well, maybe in 2028, we'll figure it out. No, you won't. You won't. Mike Trout does not get to be the victim in this story. He just doesn't. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Jason Fitz from Yahoo Sports. He's going to join us coming up here in 15 minutes. We'll step away for a few. We're going to take a look at the college football playoff rankings. What was any major takeaways? I thought it was a boring show. I thought it was a boring ranking review. I kind of like chaos. I wanted it to be messy. It wasn't messy. It was boring. We're going to get to all of that when we come back. Can't wait. Yeah, that's a hell of a tease, by the way. Let's come back and talk about something that I just said was boring. But that's what we're going to do before we get to Jason Fitz coming up here in 15 minutes. This is the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frick.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just one cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here. Based on an analysis by ABH Speed Test Intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025, local trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on both plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reductions using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing $20 a monthly bill pay plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit account not required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-529-2856. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-529-2856. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-529-2856. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-529-2856 or biglou.com.
it's beginning to taste a lot like Frickers. With holiday parties and get-togethers upon us, Frickers makes this the best season yet. With 4 pounds of freaking chicken chunks for only $39.99 or 50 boneless wings for only $49.99. Carry out only. When you pick up your order, make sure and stuff the stockings of those you love with Frickers gift cards. Receive $5 of Frickers bonus bucks for every $25 gift card. Give them what they really want. Seasons eating from the ho 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 for fun food, sports, and spirits. Frickers. Oh, let's go.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Remember when they used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? At Bank of America, we ask every day, what would you like the power to do? When you work here, you help build businesses, inspire communities, and forge legacies. And now we've raised our U.S. minimum wage to $25 an hour. So the opportunity to do more also comes with competitive pay. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/25. Bank of America, proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1 day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. King. Outside of Advent's 4 walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most expensive factor.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner with you here, Dayton's ESPN Radio 1410 Wing AM. So this came out about a half hour ago, Reds fans. The Cincinnati Reds announced the following transaction. Okay, they declined the 2026 club option on right-handed pitcher Scott Marlowe. They declined the 2026 mutual option on Austin Hayes, and they also declined the 2026 club option on left-handed pitcher Brent Suter. So I think that's smart. I don't think that the Reds should really commit to any dollars early in this free agency, or really into this early window right here at all. One thing I will say, I was a little bummed. So Nick Kroll came out and said that the spending for the Reds is going to be similar to what it was this past season. Now, that can be viewed at in a couple different ways. One is, oh my gosh, they're not going to spend any more than last year. They're going to head into this free agency with, obviously less money on the books than this past season. So they can spend a lot of money and get back up to what they were last year. And what they were at last year is still more than teams like the Guardians and the Pirates and others spend. And I'm not defending it. I'm just saying it's more than you think. But the problem is if they do the move that I want them to get Kyle Schwarber, that means they would only make one move. You get Kyle Schwarber this offseason, and then that's it. And I don't know what getting a Kyle Schwarber does if you don't make any other moves around it. That's my concern. And this is where it's going to be a Reds fan, because do you want the one Kyle Schwarber move, or do you want 2 or 3 guys that come in and make an impact and give you versatility and give you options. Like, I think that stuff matters too, and it stinks because that's boring. That's boring sports talk. Hey, I don't want a Kyle Schwarber. I'd like 3 guys that can contribute at a much cheaper level. Yeah, that's going to get the fans all super jacked excited. That bums me out. When Nick Krall came out and said that their spending was going to be similar to what it was last year, not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of that. I should have known better. I should not have got my hopes up thinking that the Reds were actually going to do something different. And the reason why too is I keep thinking it's going to be different is because I'm like, we all see the window that they're in. You only have a few more years with Ellie De La Cruz. You only have a few more years with, whatever. And the thing I also found interesting too, they're saying all of this in the offseason that they're heading into, where it all started with so many big rumors of them moving on from Hunter Green. That's what I find to be the most interesting. So it is what it is. But the Reds 2020, and Charlie Goldsmith tweeted this out the other day, yesterday, that the Reds 2026 payroll will be around the same as the payroll from 2025. So do with that what you will. I don't know what that means, but you get that information along with what the Reds just did, declining those options on Suter and Barlow and Austin Hayes. They're arranging the puzzle pieces. It's just a matter of whether those puzzle pieces are going to fit. With Pagan, Martinez, Hayes, Littell, Andujar, they're all going to be hitting free agency. Andujar, I like Andujar. When the Reds got him at the deadline, I was kind of underwhelmed by it, but I was overwhelmed by his production. I think that the guy was pretty dang good. But Andujar, Littell, which is 2 guys you got at the deadline last year. Austin Hayes, who you got as a free agent last year. You obviously you extended the qualifying offer to Nick Martinez at $22.5 million. That's the most money that they've spent on one individual player since Joey Votto. Pagan, Martinez, Hayes, Littell, Andujar, they're all going to hit free agency. And the same thing with Barlow and Suter. Now that accounts for about $40 million. Okay, when you add the signings of all, when you add the money of all of those guys, so take that. And I don't remember what their payroll was last year. I don't even remember what it was. I think it was around like 120 mil. We got time. Let's just type it in. Reds 2025 payroll. I'm curious what it was sitting at. So 120. 120 million. So you lose all of those guys right there, and that frees up 40 million. So you're sitting at 80. So you lose 40, but that's the thing, though. So they're sitting at 80 million. You got to spend 40 to get back up to 120. That's 40 million that the Reds can spend this offseason. You could technically go get a Kyle Schwarber. You can get Kyle Schwarber at 25 to 30 and still have 10 million left over to play with if you want to be in that ballpark. But we all know how that's going to go. Keep in mind, it's going to get expensive as well because there's a lot of arbitration guys that are going to be getting raises. Guys like Brady Singer and Tyler Stevenson. I've said before, I was such a fan of, the way that the catcher that they got from the Yankees last year looked that I'm almost willing to move on from a Tyler Stevenson if you have to. But you're going to keep Gavin Lux. You're going to keep Friedel. Lodolo's going to be due for a raise. Spencer Steer, Santillan. Will Benson. I'm assuming they're keeping Will Benson. That's another one. I'm like, if you're going to use him or not. But so you free up $40 million by letting a lot of those guys go. But again, the money you save by letting those guys go, a big chunk of that's going to be eaten by the arbitration players who are going to get raises. Brady Singer, Stevenson, Gavin Lux, TJ Friedel. Some other names on that list: Matt McClain, Will Benson, Graham Ashcraft, who I think was phenomenal last year in his transition to the bullpen. I'm bummed because I thought we were going to see more. I thought we were going to see more activity at the end of the day, and that ended up not being the case. But either way, okay, cool. Let's hang out with Jason Fitz. Jason Fitz is going to join us when we come back. We're going to talk with him about the Bengals. We opened up in the hour to 1 talking a lot about the Bengals and the lack of activity at the trade deadline. I'm curious his thoughts on Trey Hendrickson still being a Bengal. Or is he surprised that the Bengals didn't move on from Hendrickson? We'll talk about the Browns as well, and then the college football playoff ranking. I was going to get to that this segment, but I know we're going to talk about it with Jason, so that's coming up next. I'm Justin Kinner with you here, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We close out the show with Jason Fitz when we come back.
Do you know how much you're really paying for life insurance through work? I can almost guarantee you're overpaying for limited coverage. I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent for over 20 years. My clients are shocked to learn how expensive life insurance at work really is because of a rate that's driven up by unhealthy people. Why pay more when you don't have to? For over 35 years, Select Quote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. I found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure, $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Don't procrastinate. Workplace open enrollment will be here soon. Let Select Quote save you money and get you the coverage you need to protect your family.
For your free quote in just minutes, call 1-800-964-6464. 1-800-964-6464. Or go to selectquote.com. That's 1-800-964-6464. 1-800-964-6464. Details of example rate at selectquote.com.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products or compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Turn things all the way up and find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Hey, it's Desmond Howard. You want to win the weekend? It all starts with the tailgate. And for me, that means Kingsford Charcoal.
They've been bringing the flavor, the smoke, and the heat since 1920. No wonder they're still the gold standard of grilling. So fire it up, feed your crew, and let the smoke do the talking. Kingsford, the king of the tailgate. Get it today at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Introducing the new ESPN Fox One bundle. Unlock all of ESPN and all of Fox One with one unbeatable price. Catch the biggest games, college football, NBA, NHL, and more on ESPN. Stream your faves, Big Noon Saturday, the World Series, and NASCAR on Fox One. All for just $39.99 a month. That's 20% off. The ESPN Fox One bundle. Offer valid for eligible subscribers only. Access content from each service separately. Savings compared to purchasing both plans separately. See stream.e.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. I'm Justin Kinner, the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Live with you here today again. I'm in California again, Wright State tomorrow at Cal. It's going to be a late one. It's going to be a 10 o'clock tip-off, but we'll be doing the show remote for the next couple of days. But excited to bring on our next guest, Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports. Jason, since the last time you've been on, I think the Bengals have given up close to 1,000 points in 2 weeks. I think they have close to 800 missed tackles, and they didn't do a whole hell of a lot at the trade deadline. And this is probably the most angry I have seen this fan base in quite some time. And I usually enjoy when they're angry because I like to poke. I almost feel bad doing it. I've kind of left it alone a little bit. What the hell is going on in Cincinnati right now?
Yeah, here's the funny thing. It's a combination because, look, how many times can you change defensive coordinators before it can't just be the defensive coordinator, right? At some point, it's a talent issue. And this is where I'm going to remind everybody of a really weird fact that not a lot of people realize. In the NFL collective bargaining agreement, once the season starts, you are allowed to have 14 total padded practices through the duration of the entire season, and only 11 can be done in the first 11 weeks, right? So these are actual negotiated stats. Why do I tell you that? Because if your favorite team can't tackle, how do you get better? I've asked coaches this repeatedly over and over and over again. How do you get fundamentally better at tackling? And the answer I always get is, well, we've got alternative ways that we can go ahead and practice it, but we see how effective that is. When's the last time we saw a team early in the season that can't tackle that suddenly fixes that issue during the season? They don't, because they don't work on it during the season to have any real tangible way to get better at it. So if your favorite team can't tackle, Guess what? Bengals can't tackle. So they can't cover, can't tackle. They're not in the right place. Defense has gaps all over it. Like, I'd be wildly frustrated too if I'm a Bengals fan, because most fans, I should say, of a team that's terrible, well, you can pinpoint the why, and then you say, hey, as soon as we get a quarterback, it'll be better. The Bengals have one of those guys. They have one of those once-in-a-generation talents at quarterback position. I realize he's hurt, but still, that's supposed to give you hope every single year. Man, even Flacco's played well enough that you can turn around and say, we're going to be fine. And the defense just fails you every single week. It's wild. It's frustrating. I don't think any team has done more of a disservice to their offense over the course of the last several years than the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, Jay Morrison does a great job covering the Bengals. He put out a tweet earlier today that said that the Bengals' record for missed tackles in a quarter is 9, and they have set that record or tied that record they've reset that record 3 times since 2007. They tied it in the third quarter Sunday, and then they tied it again in the fourth quarter in back-to-back in that second half. I mean, it was just atrocious as far as that goes. And now you're starting to see the cracks in the foundation. I mean, I think they've been a little bumpy the last couple of years, but Jamar Chase, that's as angry as I've seen him after a game. He didn't really say much, but you could tell he was just holding it back. I think he's handling it well, all things considered. Some other players, though, Chase Brown, others, they're kind of letting their frustrations crack a little bit, too. And now Zach Taylor's kind of getting criticized because he's saying, hey, that's not how we're going to do this. He's getting on Chase Brown. I mean, it just seems like unless they get a win in the next couple of weeks, I know they're in the bye week, it seems like this is going to go from bad to worse if they don't figure out a way to find ways to start winning some football games.
Now, think about what we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing a team with a great defense where their offense lets them down, and then the defense just has to say the right things every single week. Yeah. Now you put sort of the explosive personality of a wide receiver in front of a mic. Like, frankly, I credit Jamar Chase for not being more vocal in that situation, because it certainly would be easy. It's got to be wildly frustrating to be one of the 2 best players in the league at your position and know that you're completely unstoppable. Like, virtually any quarterback could throw the ball up, and you're going to get that ball, and you're going to score with it, and you're still going to lose. Like that, the level of frustration, rightfully so. And a writer told me years ago, you always know when a locker room is lost. It's when they get into save themselves mode. When everybody says, I'm just doing the best, how the plays are being called, the locker room is lost. When somebody comes in and says, hey, players just got to execute better, now all of a sudden the locker room is lost. Like, when people start basically saying, not my job, not my fault, locker room is lost, and you started to feel, for the first time, to your point, I think it's the first time we've really felt like that divide, that crack. And then the question becomes, is Zach Taylor the guy that knows how to fix that inside a locker room? Is he the guy that suddenly, you can't fix the product on the field, can you fix what's happening emotionally in the fracture in the locker room? What have we seen from Zach Taylor that shows that he's that guy also? So this is just one of those moments where it's like watching a kid that barely knows how to swim, and he can stay afloat, but he can't really swim side to side. You want to help him, but he won't take your help. That's the Cincinnati Bengals right now, and I don't think that there's an easy solution. Like, the honest answer is that entire defense needs to be rebuilt. It's going to take a couple of years. It's going to take a massive offseason. It's going to take 4 or 5 huge draft picks and 4 or 5 massive free agent signings just to get competent on that side of the ball. And that's suffocating when you're as good as they are offensively.
Why in the hell is Trey Hendrickson still a Bengal today?
That does. I mean, I saw Dan Graziano point out yesterday on ESPN that the Bengals are aware of their compensatory draft pick. They know they'll give him a third round when he leaves. So if you're going to give him something, you got to give him something better. A third round in 2027, though, like, it's not going to be in 2026. Like, it's a third round a year from now. So So it makes no sense to me. You need pieces right now that can fix it. So to your point, they've made it clear they're not going to keep Trey Hendrickson long-term. By the time they fix that defense, Trey Hendrickson won't be worth it long-term either. He's going to walk, and you got nothing for him in return. I think it's pretty maddening at this point. If you're a Bengals organization, you got stubborn. And the one thing you can't do, you can't let your emotions drive your actions when you own or run an NFL team. And that's what it feels like the Bengals have done.
So, Zach Taylor, you mentioned, is he the guy to get this done? I think his tenure as head coach is just so strange. I don't think he's a bad coach. I just don't know what more you get from him. I mean, like the fact that they find ways to still. I mean, Joe Burrow's out, and yet they're still putting a ton of points up on the board. I mean, they've put up 30-something and 40-something points in back-to-back weeks, and they're losing. And then this is when I start defending him. The pushback I get is, well, he's not just the offensive coordinator. He's the head coach for the entire team. I'm like, I would be worried. I mean, it's like Zach Taylor. Is it his scheme? I mean, how do you move on from a Zach Taylor when they are so dominant on one side of the ball? And it used to just be, well, that's because of Joe Burrow. But it's not just because of Joe Burrow. Say what you want about Jake Browning. He was horrific for those couple of games, but he was solid in years past. They still put up numbers. And then Joe Flacco's coming in at 40 years old, who we thought he was done in Cleveland earlier in the year, and he looks phenomenal. I mean, Zach Taylor is such a strange coach. I don't know what the right answer is as far as what they should do with him, because I just think they're so dang good offensively, and it's his offense. I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
You're 1,000% right that he doesn't get enough credit for it. But I can find another offensive coordinator. I think I can find another offensive coordinator that can play chess with these pieces. Like anybody that's ever played competitive chess, some great chess players will play without key pieces just to make it more of a challenge. That's essentially like the Bengals are the opposite of that. If you're an offensive coordinator and you walk in one day and you're saying you're giving me these toys to play with, if you can't figure that offense out, then you shouldn't be an offensive coordinator in the NFL. So I believe they can find another offensive coordinator. Can they find somebody that can identify the right guy? But again, Al Golden is not like, we're not talking about a defensive coordinator that people doubted coming into this job, right? Like, this is the second, like, I remember, I'm old enough to talking about this, to remember when Lou Anarumo was supposedly going to be a head coaching candidate because he fixed the Bengals defense, and then it went to hell in a handbasket, right? So, like, I don't know if it's as simple as just get the right people in the room, because I think he's done that to a certain degree. It's just, you haven't got the right talent in the room. And at some point, we got to look at it and say, is it the player or is it the coach? Is it the cake or is it the ingredients? And I just feel like right now they're trying to make a cake with the worst ingredients you've ever seen, and then we're surprised that the cake comes out and it doesn't taste good. So they've got to figure out a new talent evaluation process on the defensive side of the ball. But to your Zach Taylor point, they also spent a couple of years need to figure out a new talent evaluation process on the offensive line. And they still threw the ball 752 times a game while they watched Joe Burrow get murdered over and over and over again. Like, the malpractice, we're just picking and choosing. We're moving the goalpost to what area is being mismanaged right now. And at some point, that has to fall at the feet of a head coach. It's much easier to replace a coaching staff than it is to try and figure out how to replace 53 guys on an active roster.
Staying with the draft, Cleveland didn't do really anything yesterday, and not that I expected them to. And real quick, last thing on the Bengals too. A lot of people are angry at them, furious about the deadline. There's not a move that they were going to make that was going to improve the defense. And if you're mad about the Trey Hendrickson thing, I think it's confusing, but I don't think it's technically malpractice. I guess whatever. In Cleveland, same thing. There wasn't a move that they were going to make that it was really going to drastically improve them. Both fan bases throwing fits today, and I'm like, it is what it is. These are two teams that weren't a move at the deadline away from making any drastic strides forward for the back half of the season. So I didn't mind either team being quiet yesterday, but then you look at the Jets and what they did, and there's a lot of Browns fans that wanted them to strip everything down the way that the Jets did. I mean, look at how much draft capital they have moving forward. Two-parter. Cleveland not doing anything yesterday, I don't have a problem with it, do you? And the second part is the Jets. Damn, I mean, they cleaned house yesterday, and they made out pretty well as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, but what were the Browns going to do? Yeah. Like, who's out there that's realistically attainable, that can be figured out in the salary cap structure? Like, this is where, like, part of what, makes me frustrating for my producer to work with on Yahoo Sports Daily is the number of times he came in and said, and he, by the way, happens to be a lifelong diehard Browns fan, and the number of times he comes in and he's like, what about this crazy trade? And it's like, nope, can't do it. Salary cap won't work. Like, all the people that were telling you Kyler Murray was going to get dealt in the middle of the season obviously have no idea how these salary cap things work. Like, it was never going to happen. Cash in, cash out. You weren't going to get enough in return to make it worthwhile. You start looking across the board, okay, So what could the Browns have done that would have made everybody feel different about this season? The answer is nothing. There's nobody out there that's attainable. And what were they going to get for whatever they chose to walk away from? Like, so I started asking around Njoku, because I think that's the name a lot of people were flocking towards. Like, well, they'll move Njoku for what? Like, the best answer I got from any insider, the absolute highest value, was a 3rd-round pick. So, like, you're really mad that the Browns didn't pick up an extra 3rd-round pick? Who cares? And that would be my, like, honest answer. I think the Jets hit a home run yesterday. But it's important to point out that in 2027, the Jets will have 3 first-round draft picks, because they got 2 next year and 3 the year after. The last team to have 3 first-round draft picks was the Jets in 2022. And how are the Jets today? So, like, I mean, at the end of the day, you can get all the draft equity in the world. You have to hit on these draft picks, and then you have to hit on everything else you're doing. Like, there's no one easy answer to any of this. So, yeah, the Jets pull in a haul, and it looks like just a brilliant move. But we won't really know if it was brilliant until we see, did they find other players that can play at the same level or better, that are younger or cheaper in this situation than Sauce was or that Clinton was. Like, those are the real questions. Like, the Cowboys went out and they were super aggressive for what? Like, all right, now you got Quentin Williams. Like, that's suddenly going to make you a Super Bowl team in Dallas? No. Might make you a little better over the next couple of years, but you still let Micah Parsons go, and in that process, you picked up a little bit of draft equity and Quentin Williams. If you told me it was Quentin and Micah, I'd love it. Like, this just speaks to the fact that everything at the trade deadline that is done with the concept number 1 is you overpay. The Colts overpaid for Sauce Gardner, right? Concept number 2 is that you're dumping off talent to start everything over again. And that's a little of what the Jets did. That's a little of what the Colts did. But for the most part, it's an overpay for we'll see.
Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports. The last thing in the way out, college football playoff rankings came out. And I was expecting a little bit more, just a little bit change up at the top, just because at times it feels like the playoff rankings, they want to differentiate themselves. They don't want to come out with a mirrored ranking from some of the others, the AP, the coaches, etc. But overall, pretty similar. The top 5, all the same. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5. Not a whole lot of surprises there. Was there any ooh and ah moments last night in the reveal of the first rankings?
I don't think ooh and ah, but I think we did learn what this committee values. And that the first rankings for me every year is a chance to see how this committee values certain things. And what did we learn at the top? Like, I watched some of the ESPN, I had to do it on the app, but I watched some of the ESPN coverage of it afterwards. And it's funny that the number of guys, even Joey Galloway was sitting there saying the advanced analytics show that Texas A&M should be number 1. And the committee chair didn't really have an answer for that. Like, it was just, yeah, we looked at all these teams, and we believe Ohio State's defense is a little better than Indiana, and we believe they're both a little bit better than Texas A&M. And when pushed back by Reese and by Joey on, yeah, but the analytics that you're supposed to use don't say that, his answer was, yeah, but we know what we saw, right? So what did we learn in that process? We learned that this committee, I think, values the eye test. At some level, they value what it looks like on the field when you play. And, you know, I've said this a lot over the last 24 hours. A smart person told me the committee's a little bit like walking up to the coffee bar at the hotel. Like, they have cream and they have milk and they have sugar and they have all the different things and they have coffee, right? And you know that they're going to combine these things to make the perfect cup of coffee. But how much sugar they use could be different than how much sugar I use. And how much cream they use could be different than how much cream I use. So what we learned, I think, last night is while they take every variable into account, the variable that they weigh the most is just, I watch football and I know. And that can be really good for some football-centric committees. When you got a bunch of former coaches, former players, that can be really good. Sometimes when you have mostly writers, it's more analytical, right? So I think we learned it's a very football-heavy committee on what they've seen, which I think plays to the strengths of what Ohio State and Indiana want for the rest of the season. And I think that plays into the way that we'll see the rankings shape out for the rest of the year. So when they devalue teams like BYU, they're really telling you, hey, I watched them. Yeah, not that impressed. That we have to account for the fact that this is going to be an eye test committee.
Yeah, a game this weekend that intrigues me is obviously you have Texas A&M at Missouri. Top 25 opportunity, and that would be, if they win, that would be the 3rd top 25 win of the season. They've won at Notre Dame, they won at LSU. You assume they'll win at Missouri, and that's where, you know, I start leading into the resume side. But then, as we just learned this past week, that's why I agree with you 100%. Because people always say the first one, who cares about the first rankings? I'm like, I care, because the committee, you start to learn what they value, and to everything you just said. that's what makes that matchup interesting is, if they were more resume based, then a win over Missouri almost, I feel confident saying they have a chance to slide into the number one, but they've put a force field around Ohio State who doesn't play anyone moving forward. And I think that's their way of protecting Ohio State because they know outside of Michigan, there's no one that they're going to play moving forward that's really going to justify keeping him in that one spot when everyone else is playing these top teams. Indiana's the same. They don't play anybody the rest of the way.
Yeah, let's see what happens when we get to the SEC. Like if Texas A&M, which, by the way, just Texas A&M winning an SEC championship would be so, for that school, that's so incredible. I don't think people realize how long it's been. The last time the Texas A&M won a national championship, as much as we talk about them, Gone with the Wind was the number one movie in America. That's actual. That's real. Ryan McGee told me that this morning. So I just have to remind everybody that it's been that long for Texas A&M. If they win the SEC championship, that would require a lot of wins and a big SEC championship win. I wonder how the committee will continue to value everything up until that point. But man, you're right. I think there is a bit of a bubble and a force field around Ohio State, which I don't mind because I don't think it's wrong. Like the resume does speak better to other teams, but if you watched Ohio State, you're like, damn, that is a great football team, right? So I just think that there is some fine line on all of it. We'll see if the committee continues to protect them, though, as the resume continues to bolster for A&M.
All right, good stuff. Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports every week. Talk Browns, Bengals, NFL, college football, whatever's on the menu, of course. Jason, you the man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, we'll have more coming your way. Again, the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. We are taking calls 937-518-1410. Again, we are taking calls. If you call Tommy, who's holding it down back in the studio, he'll get you set up and get you on the show. We'll be right back. More of the Justin Kinner Show next.